Paddy Pimblett is looking at a potential future title picture and sees it dangerously close to mirroring a present-day headache, with featherweight champion Ilia Topuria announcing an indefinite hiatus due to serious personal issues, including a divorce and domestic abuse allegations. Pimblett believes the division is headed for the same frustrating gridlock that has plagued the heavyweight division for years. His solution is blunt. If Topuria's absence stretches to a year or more, he should vacate the belt. Pimblett's stance is born of first-hand observation, drawing a direct parallel to his training partner and friend, Tom Aspinall. Aspinall won the interim heavyweight title and was forced to wait endlessly for a unification bout with the sidelined Jon Jones, a situation Pimblett calls a joke. He doesn't want to inherit that same scenario if he wins the interim lightweight title at UFC 324. If he's going to sit out that long, I would rather he just vacate and stop holding the division up, Pimblett stated. For him, it's a matter of competitive integrity. A division cannot be held hostage by a champion's outside circumstances, no matter how severe. However, Pimblett's position is complicated by his own ambitions. This isn't about avoiding Topuria, it's about wanting to fight him on a clear and timely schedule. He openly admits it's a catch-22. On one hand, he believes a stalled division is bad for the sport and its contenders. On the other, he craves the matchup itself, calling a fight with Topuria the only fight to make and a chance to show everyone I can beat him. He even expresses a degree of empathy, saying, "Even though I don't like the guy, I feel for him," regarding Topuria's personal turmoil. Ultimately, Pimblett is advocating for a system of accountability. His proposal is straightforward. A champion who cannot defend within a reasonable time frame should step aside, allowing the division to progress with an active title holder. The vacated champion would then be guaranteed an immediate title shot upon their return, preserving their standing while freeing the division from paralysis. It's a pragmatic, if cold, solution to a problem he fears is already on the horizon, one designed to prevent other fighters from experiencing the same purgatory his friend Tom Aspinall has endured. The narrative surrounding Arman Tsarukyan has often been one of a polished, almost privileged athlete on the cusp of a title shot. However, a recent revelation from his brother, Archer Tsarukyan, has sharply contradicted that image, pulling back the curtain on a childhood defined not by wealth, but by humble beginnings and a deep-seated hunger that continues to fuel the lightweight contender's relentless drive. This reframing of Tsarukyan's past comes in direct response to subtle digs about his background, most notably from Shara Magomedov ahead of their grappling match. Magomedov's implication that they came from different lifestyles and mindsets prompted Archer to set the record straight. He described a childhood far from a golden cradle, growing up in what he called the countryside ghetto. His most vivid memory underscores this starkly, seeing other kids in the city center with Asics wrestling shoes, which to the young Tsarukyan brothers held the same awe-inspiring status as luxury brands like Louis Vuitton. This wasn't a life of ease, but one where simple athletic gear represented a distant aspiration. This context adds a crucial layer to understanding Arman Tsarukyan's current position and mentality. The fighter who was forced into a last-second, career-altering withdrawal from a title fight against Islam Makhachev due to a back injury isn't operating from a place of comfort, but from a place of having fought for every opportunity. The privileged label that has sometimes followed him seems to be a misreading of his family's later financial stability, obscuring the foundational struggle that shaped him. That struggle is likely the bedrock of the relentless, grinding style he employs in the cage, a style built on the understanding that nothing is given. As Tsarukyan awaits his next fight, knowing he is likely one decisive victory away from another title shot, this revised backstory reframes his entire journey. He isn't a product of privilege coasting on talent, he is a product of a specific, hard-scrabble hunger. The same awe he once felt for a pair of wrestling shoes now fuels his pursuit of the UFC lightweight championship, making his path not one of expectation, but of a hard-earned climb from the ghetto to the very top of the sport. Sean O'Malley is staring down a pivotal crossroads, and his vision for 2026 stretches in two very different directions. As he prepares for his crucial return against the dangerous Song Yadong at UFC 324, his mind is uniquely split between the immediate threat and a grand, redemptive finale. He insists he isn't overlooking Song, acknowledging his opponent's speed and power in both hands, but he is openly and simultaneously preparing for the man he believes awaits him next, the reigning bantamweight champion Petr Yan. This dual focus is rooted in history and a clear narrative. O'Malley's split-decision victory over Yan in 2022 was the fight that catapulted him to his first title shot. Now, with Yan having reclaimed the belt, O'Malley sees a direct path back to the top. Petr knows, O'Malley declared. That's what's next. I'm gonna go out there, take care of Song, and that's what's next. He has mapped out a perfect 2026, a victory over Song, a championship win and a Yan rematch, the explosion of his doing well business brand, and then, potentially, retirement. This might be the last Suga year ever, he mused, framing the next 12 months as a potential victory lap. However, this confident blueprint exists alongside a stark and contrasting possibility. O'Malley, currently on a 2-fight skid, is acutely aware that his entire plan is fragile. He admitted that if he goes out and loses consecutive fights, he's done with this shit. This vulnerability adds a rare layer of stakes to his comeback. He isn't just fighting for a title shot, he's fighting for the continuation of his career as an elite fighter. The outcome of the Song Yadong fight doesn't just determine his ranking, it determines whether the Suga Show continues its march toward a blockbuster rematch with Yan, or whether the curtain falls sooner than anyone expected. For O'Malley, 2026 will either be the year of his triumphant recoronation, or the year he walks away.
Tom Aspinall finds himself in an unfamiliar and uncomfortable position. Public enemy number one. The heavyweight champion, once the beloved British superstar celebrated for his quick finishes and relatable persona, has seen his relationship with the fans deteriorate rapidly since the disastrous end to his first title defense at UFC 321. The multiple eye pokes from Cyril Gane that led to a no contest didn't just cause physical damage, they triggered a wave of skepticism and criticism that has forced Aspinall to adopt a thicker skin and a more defiant public stance. In a candid moment, Aspinall addressed the shifting tide of public opinion. He pointed to the high expectations his own explosive career had set, noting that if he doesn't secure a finish within the first minute, people think I'm looking The reality of a competitive fight, he suggests, was misread as a flaw. While acknowledging he still has plenty of support, he admits the tide is turned. This backlash has been compounded by critiques from fellow fighters like TJ Dillashaw and Aljamain Sterling, who questioned his heart and the severity of the injury, a particularly stinging charge for any champion. Aspinall's response has been to lean into a more confrontational heel role, repeatedly labeling Gane a cheater and a dirty blank who just needs to cut his fingernails. This brewing animosity sets the stage for one of the most charged rematches in recent heavyweight history. While Aspinall recovers from the surgery required to repair his vision, the division is moving without him, with talks of an interim title fight between Gane and Alex Pereira gaining steam. This only adds fuel to Aspinall's fire. When he is finally medically cleared, the fight against Gane will no longer be just about the title, it will be about redemption, reputation, and a visceral need for vengeance. Aspinall won't just be fighting to defend his belt, he'll be fighting to silence the doubters, punish the man he views as a cheat, and win back the fans who once cheered his every move. The return of Tom Aspinall is now loaded with a personal grudge that promises to make his comeback one of the most emotionally charged events of the year.
A concerning shadow has been cast over the highly anticipated UFC 324 main event just weeks before fight night. Fans and observers have begun speculating that interim lightweight title challenger Justin Gaethje may be battling a staph infection after footage from a recent public appearance showed a prominent, angry-looking lesion on the side of his neck. The video, which has circulated widely on social media, shows Gaethje with what appears to be a significant red wound or cluster of lesions below his ear. The timing could not be more critical, with his championship fight against Paddy Pimblett scheduled for January 24th. In the high-stakes world of fight camps, even a minor health issue can derail years of preparation, and a staph infection, a common but serious bacterial infection in combat sports, is among the most dreaded. Such infections can sap energy, require potent antibiotics that weaken the body, and in severe cases can lead to fight cancellations if not treated aggressively and immediately. As of now, neither Gaethje, his team, nor the UFC has commented on the visible wound or his health status. The silence has only fueled further anxiety and speculation among fans. The coming days will be crucial. If it is a staph infection, the severity and how quickly it responds to treatment will determine whether the biggest fight of Pimblett's career proceeds as planned, or if the lightweight division faces another frustrating last-minute delay. All eyes will be on any official updates, with the hope that the highlight can recover in time for a fair and healthy shot at the interim gold. The personal crisis enveloping Ilia Topuria has taken a dramatic and darker turn. The undefeated two-division champion, who recently announced a hiatus from fighting to deal with private matters, has now revealed the specific and severe nature of the threat forcing him away from the cage, an alleged extortion plot. This bombshell accusation reframes his sudden withdrawal from competition. Topuria stated this was not a decision made lightly, but one necessitated when circumstances arise that threaten your personal integrity, your family, and your reputation. He vehemently denied the allegations, calling them entirely unfounded, and asserted he has amassed a trove of evidence, including audio recordings, communications, and witness statements, which has been submitted to judicial authorities to pursue legal action for attempted extortion, falsification of evidence, and threats. The revelation comes amidst weeks of intense speculation regarding troubles in his marriage to Georgina, with whom he shares 2 children. Notably, Topuria did not direct his accusations at his wife personally in his statement. He explained his prior silence was to protect his children's privacy, but decided to speak out because silence allows false narratives to take hold. This severe personal and legal battle casts a long shadow over the lightweight division. Topuria had already stated he would not fight in the first quarter of 2026 and did not want to hold up the division, suggesting the UFC should make necessary matchups in his absence. This new context of a criminal extortion case suggests his hiatus could be lengthy and complex, potentially forcing the promotion to seriously consider an interim title to maintain momentum at 155 pounds. For now, the champion's fight has moved entirely outside the octagon, as he seeks to clear his name and protect his family from what he describes as a malicious and financially motivated attack. The most storied and bitter rivalry in UFC history is being officially reopened, but this time the war will be waged from the corners. Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier, whose personal animosity in 2 legendary fights defined an era of the sport, are set to reignite their feud as opposing coaches on the upcoming season of ALF Reality 3, the Russian counterpart to The Ultimate Fighter. This move ensures that the intense, years-long Cold War between the 2 legends will fuel a new generation of drama, with their rivalry now playing out through the development and competition of up-and-coming fighters. The announcement alone was enough to stir the pot, and Daniel Cormier wasted no time in throwing the first verbal jab of this new chapter. Not content to let their conflict be limited to coaching strategies, Cormier made a bold declaration about taking their unfinished business to another arena entirely, the wrestling mats. On his show, he stated, "I'm telling you, real American freestyle wrestling is going to see me and Jon Jones at some point, and I'm going to kick his like you would never believe." This call-out is deeply personal and strategic. By challenging Jones to a wrestling match, the purest form of their combined combat roots, Cormier is tapping directly into his own legendary pedigree as an NCAA champion and Olympian, an area where he has always held a perceived supremacy over Jones. It's a way to extend their rivalry beyond the UFC's confines and onto a stage where Cormier's confidence is at its peak. For now, the immediate battlefield is the set of ALF reality. Their coaching showdown promises to be a masterclass in mind games, competitive fire, and the transfer of legacy. Every draft pick, every training session, and every piece of advice will be filtered through the lens of their mutual disdain. Jones, who recently coached against Jorge Masvidal in the previous season, and Cormier, a seasoned analyst and coach, will each be fighting to prove their system, their philosophy, and ultimately their superiority over the other. While the third MMA fight seems a distant prospect, this coaching clash, amplified by Cormier's wrestling challenge, guarantees that the volatile and captivating saga of Jones versus Cormier is entering a compelling new phase, where the stakes are legacy, pride, and the chance to claim a final victory, even if it's by proxy. The path back to the top and to a familiar throne appears to be clearly marked for Zhang Weili. Following her valiant but ultimately unsuccessful bid to dethrone Valentina Shevchenko for the flyweight title, the question of what's next for the former strawweight queen has found a compelling answer from her own camp. Her coach, John Wood, has openly laid out the most logical and arguably most enticing option, a return to 115 pounds to reclaim the championship from the new title holder, Mackenzie Dern. Wood's assessment is direct and carries the confidence of a team that believes a kingdom was only temporarily left unattended. There's obviously a clear-cut path to go back and take that title from Mackenzie. No disrespect to Mackenzie, Wood stated, before adding the pointed declaration, "That's Weili's belt." This framing sets the narrative perfectly. It paints Zhang not as a challenger, but as a returning sovereign seeking to reclaim what was once hers, a storyline rich with history and personal stakes. The sentiment echoes a widely held belief among fans and pundits that despite Dern's impressive submission victory over Virna Jandiroba to win the belt, a showdown with Zhang represents a different echelon of challenge. From a stylistic standpoint, the matchup is a fascinating clash of elite specialties. Mackenzie Dern's world-class jiu-jitsu presents a clear and present danger to anyone in the division. However, Zhang Weili is no stranger to grappling threats. Her most recent victory at strawweight was a dominant, grappling-heavy performance against the previously unstoppable Tatiana Suarez, a fight where Zhang showcased defensive grit and top control strength that few believed she possessed. That performance fundamentally altered the perception of her ground game, suggesting she would not be a mere submission waiting to happen against Dern. Coupled with Zhang's clear and often overwhelming advantage in striking power and athleticism, it creates a scenario where, as Wood notes, you would anticipate that she will fancy her chances against just about anyone at strawweight. While other options may exist, including a potential rematch with Shevchenko or other flyweight pursuits, the call to return to strawweight is the most resonant. It offers a chance for redemption in a division she once ruled, against the new title holder whose style presents a dramatic and winnable challenge. For Mackenzie Dern, it would be the ultimate test of her reign, a chance to prove her championship medal against the very woman whose shadow still looms large over the 115-pound weight class. For Zhang Weili, it is the clear-cut path back to gold, a journey to prove the belt never truly left her possession, but was merely on loan. In a recent conversation that blended humor, frustration, and a dose of realism, two of the UFC's biggest stars pinpointed the one fight they believe the promotion absolutely must make in 2026. While training together, heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall and lightweight title challenger Paddy Pimblett were asked by Aspinall's videographer to name the most essential bout for the coming year. Their answer, after a quick joke at Arman Tsarukyan's expense, was unanimous and pointed to the sport's most enduring piece of unfinished business: Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. Pimblett initiated the serious answer, highlighting the peculiar predicament of Michael Chandler. "I'd like to see Michael Chandler get that fight because it was all on him, the fact that he never got it and sat out for 2 years," Pimblett said, acknowledging the professional purgatory Chandler entered after filming The Ultimate Fighter with McGregor in 2023. Aspinall immediately agreed, stating, "I'd like to see that fight." Both fighters framed it not just as a spectacle, but as a matter of professional obligation, suggesting Chandler is owed the opportunity after his lengthy and exclusive wait for the bout that has now fallen through multiple times. This call from active fighters carries weight because it underscores a storyline that has become an awkward fixture in the sport. The proposed fight between McGregor and Chandler has been announced, delayed, and resurrected more than any other in recent memory. Chandler has stayed on the sidelines for long stretches, only taking fights when the McGregor bout seemed truly dead, while McGregor has navigated injuries and most recently an 18-month suspension for anti-doping protocol violations. The fight exists in a state of perpetual almost, a major commercial blockbuster that consistently fails to materialize. By singling out this clash, Aspinall and Pimblett are advocating for the UFC to finally close the loop. It's a fight that transcends rankings or title implications. It is a narrative necessity. For Chandler, it represents vindication for his patience. For McGregor, it is the definitive, high-profile return bout he has promised for years. For fans, it is the resolution to a 2-year-long teaser. In a landscape often driven by what is hot at the moment, Aspinall and Pimblett are pointing to a simmering pot that needs to either finally boil over or be taken off the stove for good. Their verdict is clear. 2026 must be the year the UFC stops talking about McGregor versus Chandler and simply makes it happen.
The secret isn't a hidden technique or a physical attribute, it's a chilling shift in mentality. Walter Walker has turned the heel hook into his signature, not through finesse, but through a conscious, ruthless commitment to violence that he believes others lack. In a sport defined by controlled aggression, Walker operates on a different principle when he locks onto a leg. He doesn't aim to force a tap, he aims to break the limb. This isn't hyperbole, but his explicit strategy. "The secret of the heel hook, I'll tell you now," Walker explained. "I see many guys in the UFC try to do the heel hook and it don't work. Why? Because they take the heel hook. First, they don't believe this is going to work, and second, they want their opponent to tap. When I go for the heel hook, I go for broke. I don't go for my opponent to tap." He describes the tangible, gruesome feedback of his method, the feeling of a knee and foot cracking under the strain. "The last 4 fights, I feel everybody's foot crack, because I go for broke. This is the secret." In his mind, the threat of a career-ending injury is what makes the submission truly inescapable. He trains with a focus on the tap in the gym, but when the cage door closes, his coach's instruction is simple and brutal. Don't go for tap, go for broke. This mindset provides a psychological and physical edge that defies conventional grappling wisdom. Opponents know it's coming. His 4 consecutive heel hook finishes have made that impossible to ignore, but foreknowledge is useless against absolute conviction. While others might secure the position and patiently wait for the submission, Walker applies maximum fight-ending torque from the instant he grabs the heel. It creates a terrifyingly short window for his opponents: tap immediately or suffer catastrophic damage. He admits he eases the pressure once he feels the dreaded crack, not out of mercy because the fight is functionally over. The leg can no longer support a fighter. This approach transforms the heel hook from a complex positional submission into a sudden and brutal act of force. Interestingly, Walker's mastery is born of opportunism, not a lifetime of specialization. After scoring his first UFC victory with a heel hook over Junior Tafa in 2024, he recognized its potential and began hunting for it relentlessly in every training session. He's since refined it to a startling degree, though he insists his game is well-rounded and that opponents' fixation on his leg will eventually open windows for other attacks. For now, he has introduced a unique and fearsome variable into the heavyweight division. He has weaponized a single submission, not just through technical skill, but by embracing a level of finality that makes every entanglement with his legs a high-stakes gamble with permanent consequences.
It comes down to the cold, hard economics of combat sports, a reality Arman Tsarukyan sees with clear-eyed pragmatism. The idea of a high-profile, fan-friendly grappling showdown between him and the now welterweight champion Islam Makhachev has been floated in the rumor mill, but Tsarukyan himself is quick to pour cold water on the prospect. His reasoning isn't rooted in personal animosity or a lack of competitive fire. Instead, he points directly to the financial ledger. Makhachev has ascended to a tier where his UFC fight purses reflect his status as a dominant champion and a major pay-per-view draw. For an outside promotion to lure him into a special grappling match, they would need to present a number that matches or exceeds that value, a sum Tsarukyan believes is simply unfeasible. Islam makes very big money in the UFC, he stated plainly, adding, "I don't think anyone can afford paying him that amount of money." In his view, the financial risk for a promoter is too great, and the incentive for Makhachev to take on a dangerous stylistic puzzle like Tsarukyan outside of the UFC's lucrative structure is too small. The potential spectacle is held hostage by a simple cost-benefit analysis. This practical assessment arrives at a critical juncture in Tsarukyan's own career trajectory. He finds himself in a frustrating purgatory within the UFC's lightweight division, a contender whose time seems perpetually just around the corner. The sting of being overlooked for the interim title fight at UFC 324, a slot that went to Justin and Paddy Pimblett, is still fresh. To stay sharp and maintain visibility, he's turned to the wrestling and grappling circuit, a move that keeps him in the public eye but underscores his absence from the official title picture. His path forward is simultaneously straightforward and fraught with pressure. Secure a decisive, notable victory in the first half of the coming year. Only a definitive win, he believes, can erase the UFC's apparent hesitation, a reluctance that may stem from his last-minute withdrawal from a scheduled title fight against Makhachev due to injury. That missed chance haunts his resume, making his next octagon appearance not just another fight, but a necessary act of redemption to prove his reliability and reclaim his position as the undeniable next challenger. Thus, the narrative splits into two parallel tracks. On one side is the tantalizing what-if of a pure grappling match against Makhachev, a contest of technique and athleticism divorced from the punches and politics of the UFC. It's a dream matchup for purists, but one Tsarukyan rationally dismisses as a financial impossibility in the short term. On the other side is the gritty, immediate reality of his UFC career, the need to win, and win impressively, to finally grasp the gold that has eluded him. The Makhachev grappling match represents a theoretical luxury, a side quest for sport, but the UFC lightweight title represents the ultimate, tangible prize, and for Tsarukyan, every energy must be directed toward forcing that opportunity. The former is a fantasy blocked by dollar signs. The latter is a goal that demands nothing less than victory inside the cage.
Shara Bullet Magomedov already has his roadmap laid out for 2026, and at the end of it sits a familiar name, The surging middleweight contender has made it clear that his long-term goal for the coming year is to earn a rematch with Michael "Venom" Page, the only fighter to defeat him under MMA rules, and he believes that putting together the right sequence of wins will make that fight impossible to deny. As the sport heads toward a new calendar year, Magomedov has begun outlining what he wants the next phase of his career to look like. Speaking in an interview with Red Corner MMA, he explained that his vision is built around a three-fight progression that steadily raises the level of competition and ultimately brings him back across from Page. According to Magomedov, the plan starts with a return fight against someone outside the top 15, followed by a win over a ranked opponent before finally pushing for a sequel against Page. Magomedov was clear about why that rematch matters so much to him. He feels that his first encounter with Page didn't reflect his true abilities and insists that health issues prevented him from performing anywhere near his best on the night. From his perspective, running it back isn't just about revenge, but about showing fans what he's actually capable of when everything is aligned. The original fight between Magomedov and Page took place earlier this year at UFC Fight Night Saudi Arabia in Riyadh, where Magomedov welcomed the former Bellator champion to the middleweight division. Page, long known for his flashy striking at welterweight, has increasingly taken fights at 185 pounds due to what he has described as persistent matchmaking logjams at 170. Their clash was positioned as the co-main event and ended up being a showcase for Page's movement, timing, and striking IQ. Over 3 rounds, Page largely controlled the action, picking Magomedov apart at range and cruising to a clear unanimous decision victory. It marked the first loss of Magomedov's MMA career and immediately stood out as a pivotal moment in his rise. Since then, both fighters have rebounded and added meaningful wins to their resumes, which has only fueled the intrigue around a potential rematch. Magomedov returned to the win column at UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi in July, where he defeated veteran middleweight Marc-Andre Barriault by unanimous decision. The performance showed a more composed and disciplined version of the 31-year-old, reinforcing the idea that he remains a dangerous and evolving presence in the division. Page, meanwhile, continued his strong run at middleweight by defeating former title challenger Jared Cannonier via unanimous decision at UFC 319 in August. That victory further legitimized his place among the division's elite and demonstrated that his skill set can translate against established contenders at 185 pounds. With both men back on track and aiming upward, Magomedov's vision of a rematch no longer feels far-fetched. If he can follow through on his plan by stringing together a couple of notable wins in 2026, the narrative writes itself. A second meeting with Page would not only carry personal significance for Shara Bullet, but would also serve as a high-level stylistic matchup between two of the most intriguing strikers in the middleweight division.